Velociraptor's been around for probably just over a year now. When's your birthday?
The official company registration is in April, but yeah, the company, I already started working seriously on the company beginning of last year, even December the previous year, but yeah. It's a year. It's a year and a month, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
Unofficial.
Do you want to talk us through what you've built in the last year, what products you have to offer, and specifically, let's go in sort of what you think is the coolest to the least cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, we're obviously doing our collaboration now between Opti and Velociraptor, and so some of the coolest, biggest impact stuff is going to be there with our automated safety system, analyzing mining risks and mining incidents with LLMs and standard operating procedures, just throwing it all in together and basically automating the kind of safety analysis of mining and industrial operations. That's one of the coolest things that I think we're doing. I've done a lot of different things. Like we did, basically the company started with chatbots because last year, at the start of the year, everyone and their dog wanted a company chatbot or a chatbot for their brand or for their kind of niche industry. And so it started with building chatbots for clients and for individual people sometimes, just to demonstrate the power of a chatbot, but with the context of your business or the context of your specific industry. And so we did a lot of chatbots at the start of last year, pivoted into the fintech space for one of our clients to do kind of Excel automation, database automation, portfolio comparison tools, basically just taking tons of raw financial data and trying to make sense of it, whether it was for infographics for clients or for internal use to make decisions on how to structure the hedge fund basically at the company.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so a bunch of different stuff in that. And then a bunch of smaller products for different clients. It's a tough one actually. When you actually ask, what have you done? What have you done this week? It's kind of it's hard.
In the last year.
Yeah, I always try and cast my mind back to the Velociraptor AI website because that's obviously where I promote a lot of the good stuff.
So, question: you said you started with chatbots.
Yeah.
And there's a huge demand for chatbots.
Yeah.
So, what I really like about chatbots is it feels like you're talking to a person and getting information out.
Yeah.
So, as much as I know that you aren't a lover of building chatbots, if you have a chatbot with really good back-end information, how good can it be and how good can it get? Like the one that's used in iMan, what's Jarvis?
Yeah.
Could you get to Jarvis level?
Oh, I definitely think so. And I think that we're only just getting started really with chatbots and with the kind of personal digital assistant ecosystem. Last year I did spend some time in addition to client projects, on a number of small projects, and one of them I built was actually a little Jarvis version that could control my computer and could make WhatsApp, could send WhatsApp messages, could create documents, that sort of thing. And that with Anthropic's computer use and OpenAI's agents kind of infrastructure, agents are taking off.
That's what I was going to ask, actually.
My time in SF told me anything. I said everyone and their dog is building an agentic startup.
Yeah.
And agent is just AI inside of a for loop, really. But it's basically just, how can you get AI to start doing stuff for you proactively and for you, as opposed to you having to ask for it constantly.
And giving information, yeah.
You show up every morning and boom, here's your report generated for you, or here's this form filled out for you. That's, I think, the real promise of agentic startups. And I'm very keen to take the chatbot interface and to take just chatbots and continue down the path of making them more and more agentic and more useful. And I think we're nowhere near the top of what chatbots can do and what agent startups can do. I mean, until everyone's got their own personal Jarvis and it's as powerful as the Iron Man movie version, I don't think we're anywhere near the top. Great question.
Yeah, so, let's take an example like your fintech company that you've deployed at the moment. Yeah. They've got a chatbot where you can ask it any question on the financials and it spits out an answer.
Yeah, that was the first product I built for them.
Have you shifted to something more agentic, like generate me a report summarizing this information, or not yet?
At that specific client, they already had a lot of processes in place to generate reports every day and to generate client marketing materials. So I worked on some of that, improving it, tying it in better to some of the data that they already had. But I did build a separate application last year for automating kind of Excel graph creation, and basically putting in Excel files and getting out explanations, insights, and graphs from those Excel files.
Yeah, so I suppose the question that I'm actually asking is, do you think it's possible to leverage your existing chatbot deployments into agentic deployments?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because the chatbot interface is so nice because it's just text or it's just voice. It's like how you communicate to a secretary or a coworker.
Yeah.
Hey, please will you do that for me by 3:00 this afternoon? And then it's just done by the time 3:00 rolls around.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of experience is going to tie into more and more apps and software and features in that in the next few years, where you open your phone and you say, hey, give me a report on,
Exactly.
mining companies in the Middle East, and it's going to come back in 3 hours with a detailed analysis report, PowerPoint deck, slide deck, investment memo, and all of that is going to get generated. And I've got some ideas for how I want to work on that, like those kind of like generative startups, just generating resources and media. But I think that's going to become more and more important. And to answer your question, easily tied into the chatbots, because the chatbot is just the input and output interface.
Yeah, there's just something special as a end user about using a chatbot.
Yeah.
So if you showed me a table and you said this information was generated using artificial intelligence, like our risk modeling tool that we've built, it doesn't have that wow factor.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, there's some data, that's cool. But interacting with the chatbot, like if I just asked the chatbot, tell me what the level of risk is for this near miss, and give me a solution, and says, well, according to blah blah blah, the consequence would be a 4 and the likelihood would be a 4, leaving you at 16. I suggest doing, like, all you've done is take text and turn it into words.
The table.
But because you're interacting how we're interacting now, it's automatically much more appealing and seems way more out of this world than an Excel doc.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I think it's only going to get more and more exciting and more. The capabilities are only increasing. When I started the company at the beginning of last year, the most cutting edge model was GPT-4. We've had like 5 different versions of GPT since then, with the O series of reasoning models. 4 different AI companies started since then. They all have state-of-the-art models now. Grok 3 was released this morning before we started filming this. In 6 months' time to a year's time, the work that I'm doing today, the work that we're doing today, is going to be antiquated in comparison, such as like the state of the fast-moving industry. And it's so exciting to have that kind of like constant technological one-upmanship, because I think it's only going to lead to better and better experiences and outcomes for like the personal company that wants to implement AI in their operation.
I mean, and just a stupid example that I was thinking about now with the project that we've deployed. I mean, if you just had a chatbot interface that the end users could use on a daily basis when they log in and say, tell me what happened yesterday, and they just have to sit and listen rather than read, probably a whole different experience. But really cool.
We'll add it to the to-do list, bro.
Really cool what you're up to. Are there any other products that you want to talk about that you think are really impactful and that will lead to a lot of change?
Do you mean like at the industry at large, or ones that I'm building?
I think let's start with like what you've built, and then let's move on to something that you have as a pipe dream.
Yeah, what I'm most excited about in like the next 6 months of like my Velociraptor's own like internal product development, and that is just building SaaS products and building AI experiences using the knowledge that I've gained from the last couple of months of working in industry and seeing what clients need. That was the whole point and the whole vision of starting the company in the first place. It was, let me go get some clients, let me solve problems for them, let me then pattern match the problems that different clients and different people have that are similar. I mean, as different as a fintech and a mining company are, at the end of the day, they both have employees. The employees both need to do finance. The company needs to pay payroll.
More people, more problems.
Yeah, there's research to be done. And so I've already started to get some ideas for what I want to do for those specific areas, particularly around the tools that people use. I mean, most companies around the world still run on Excel.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, Excel. Yeah. So just like, it's not even really AI, but just like building little processes and software around Excel sheets and databases, connecting them nicely with, like you say, nice front end, chatbots, and with some little pattern recognition tools using AI and using LLMs in the background. I think so much can be accomplished with so little effort just to drive like massive change and massive, just not even like efficiency, just excitement and just like ease of working. So yeah, actually working on like legacy systems and working on in legacy industries like mining and the industrial sector and manufacturing, just to take old processes, old Excel sheets, old ways of doing things, and just injecting a tiny bit of AI into them, a tiny bit of like a new front-end framework, a new website, and giving it so much more life. And you know, like some of the best experiences I've had so far with my clients has been when like I spent a day working on like a little demo or a little product showcase, giving it to them and them saying like, oh my God, it takes us like days to do this. Like, when can you implement this at the entire operation? Like, this is going to save us hundreds of hours of human life. Like, all I did was run some for loops and like, you know, plug in a couple of API calls, and yet it has the ability to like save people hundreds of hours of their life. That's really exciting. And so yeah, I think working on legacy systems actually for the next couple of months is going to be my main focus.
Okay, that's good. And then just a pipeline SaaS product that you have in mind? What is there something that you have off the top of your head that you really, really want to build?
So yeah, some Excel automation tools. I'm already halfway through some of those. I don't have a very clear answer there. I'll answer your other question about the pipe dream though. Like I'd love to get more into robotics and more into like actual like AI interacting with the physical world. I mean, that's what Figure and OpenAI are doing with their robotics. But I just think it's the ultimate like end use case. Like AI is great with already digitized data, but if we've got a camera here in front of us and you can plug it into the LLM and get it to start controlling a robot or start controlling the temperature in a unit and that, I think there's like great applications there for AIs driving cars, operating mining equipment. I mean, we've already talked about that, about doing some...
What is the word that you use to define that now? Edge control.
Edge control.
Is that what you called it?
I don't think that's what I said.
Okay.
I might have said something similar.
I've just seen a couple of applications similar to what you're talking about where you run a locally based LLM like Olama with your camera really close by, and it's not going through a whole network up into the cloud, off to an American server to get processed, then all the way back. And in big industries where one, bandwidth is an issue, and two, getting connectivity is an issue, I think a lot of that edge technology is starting to become a thing. Sorry, I don't know why I thought you said that. But
it's a really good point. And the exciting thing is that like the best state-of-the-art models need, a
bit of computing
16 GPUs to run, and you need a whole server farm to run it. But every time those models come out, they get distilled and smaller versions come out like DeepSeek and that can run on phones and can run on powerful computers that can sit in a piece of mining equipment somewhere.
Yeah, and if you don't need a massive context window, if your application is relatively niche, and you can give it a small bit of training data.
No, in 2 years' time, we're going to have LLMs that are as powerful as GPT-4 today, running on phones and running on tiny little embedded devices. And that's going to be incredible when every piece of technology, you've got this camera, these lights, has got a chat, like a really intelligent chatbot attached to it. And you can say, hey, turn off the lights. And it's not just recognizing lights, turn off, and then doing it, but it can actually understand like the context behind what you're saying. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to build in that space, one day. To answer your question, the pipe dream is to build stuff for Mars one day, Martian infrastructure company. That's the real dream, to work in the space industry, but heavily R&D intensive. So just trying to store up some capital before then.
Interesting. Yeah, I think my pipe dream beyond Opti is to do probably an African electric vehicle company.
Really?
Yeah, I know that sounds very strange.
Doesn't sound strange at all. Sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Can I invest?
Where do I sign?
Where do I sign? Take my money.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just comes back to sort of my original discussion around Opti, just on the make Africa great again.
I was gonna say make Africa great. Yeah. Just cut off that last A bag.
But so we could do it. Right, there's no reason we shouldn't be producing an electric vehicle.
The thing is,
I know Botswana they just released an electric vehicle. I don't know if you saw that they manufacture entirely within Botswana.
That's awesome.
But I don't want us to be sourcing 1 million parts from overseas. I don't want us to be sourcing software from overseas. I don't want us to be sourcing computers from overseas, yes, I mean, you should be doing that in areas where the tech that you need can only be made there, but whatever we can make locally, let's make locally. Anyway, enough about my dreams.
No, but it's good, and we can talk about it because Africa has such big potential, but like, I don't know if you really want to talk about, what the obstacles to that are, because we all know what the obstacles are.
Yeah.
It's politics and entrenched bureaucracy, and that's very hard to change. It's not a skills or resource issue.
Yeah, we need Doge.
We need Doge.
Yeah, straight facts. Elon,
save us.
Pull in. What is your vision for Velociraptor AI going forward? Sorry.
That's all good. In the short term, or like over the course of my life?
I think let's give it a couple of timelines. Let's go 1 year, 5 year, 10 year.
Yeah. Well, at the end of this year, if I was going to say like best case scenario, what's gone right and what happened, I would say that like several of the clients I'm like courting at the moment have like come through. International clients that I've talked to at the moment. We've done a couple of implementations at the operation. Implemented a few software projects for them. Our mining AI tech collaboration has gone really well. It's we've got a couple of our different products working in a couple of different mines. I'd say that would be like a huge success for this year. I mean, at the start of a business and at the start of like a entrepreneurial journey, you can have huge goals, but it would be wonderful to not have to starve this month.
Yeah,
cash flow is the ultimate. It's the ultimate goal. So to reach the end of this year and have like runway for 2 or 3 more years, so to speak, would be amazing. And I think even if you weren't doing a business, to have like money stored up for a few years where like you didn't have to work is fantastic. Obviously, I don't want to not work. I want to work on projects and things that are really inspiring and interesting to me. But yeah, if I just reach the end of this year with like more money in the bank than I started, that would be fantastic. Not hard though, because I started at like minus 16. But no, I mean, just the current projects and clients that I'm working on, if they can go well and we can secure 1 or 2 more contracts, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the good old startup adage, just stay alive.
Just stay alive. And also, just staying alive and staying in the game is really exciting to me. It's so awesome every day to wake up and see a new AI model has been released and new tool is coming out that's going to make it this much easier to build chatbots and this much easier to make websites that do really cool things for people. Like, that's super exciting to me, and I just want to continue to be a part of it. It's great to not have to go into an office every day, and there's a lot of value, and I respect people that work in companies, put food on the table, but it's great to be able to work on what I want to work on and to continue to be at the frontier.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you're at the point where you're making as much money as you would working a 9 to 5, why stop, right?
Yeah. And then in like a 5 to 10 year timeline, I don't actually see Velociraptor lasting like a 20-year timeline. Like, it's not like you with Opti AI where you have a long-term vision for the company and for an African mining startup that really changes the game from a coaching and optimization perspective. I see Velociraptor more as like a medium-term, 5 to 10 year business that I commit my time to really, one, take advantage of like the AI wave and help people use AI properly and help them to use AI to accomplish their own business goals.
Yeah.
And two, to acquire a lot of capital on that for bigger projects. Obviously it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards, Steve Jobs quote, but it would be nice to acquire some money in the next couple of years and put it towards something ridiculous like the Mars infrastructure startup, or like a big robotics company. And if Velociraptor turns into that, fantastic. But yeah, I set myself a goal at the start of this year to acquire enough runway by March to reach the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's like, I've nearly achieved that, which is fantastic. And then the rest of the year to spend on SaaS products, so building software for companies that is like really scalable and can be used by lots of people. I foresee myself doing that for many years coming. And if one of those software projects turns into something much larger that can really impact an industry that I'm passionate about, like space or the industrial sector, that's fantastic. But we'll probably see the need to eventually spin out Velociraptor into its own entity that carries on doing great client work and carries on doing great software development. And then taking some time off to actually go and read 12 textbooks about space and physics, and then going and trying to dominate that industry. Because one thing I've really found in like the last year that I've struggled with is it's really hard to focus. You've got lots of interests and you're you're always hungry to learn about things, it can be really easy to work on a startup, but also research new space technologies, and also dream about, starting this company that can do that, and also dream about solving the government. I mean, we're not all Elon.
Yeah, but indirectly, I mean, money buys you time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what you're saying.
But just keeping that focus, like I foresee myself like really focusing on Velociraptor and delivering great client projects, delivering great AI solutions for the next few years, and while learning in that space, gaining money and time and resources to go then work on the next big thing.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really good.
So where's Velociraptor in 20 years? Funding a space startup. That's where it is. Short answer.
Brilliant. I love it. That's a very cool vision, to say the least.
See you on Mars, kids.
One of the other questions that I wanted to ask you is, you always hear these startup horror stories, and I mean, I don't think any startup begins without any hiccups or challenges. So what are sort of some big hurdles or obstacles that you faced during your time starting Velociraptor?
Yeah, good question.
Or challenges?
Yeah. I mean, similar to you, I think the biggest thing obviously was just getting started and getting a client in the first place. I mean, when you've got a client that pays you every month, that's cool. You can just kind of, your default alive.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about how you got your first client. What did that process look like?
Yeah, so I made some videos about that, but basically I got it through cold email. So I went onto apollo.io and I scraped like 600 emails of companies and people in South Africa that I thought would benefit from AI solutions. And then I like manually went and wrote them 500, I think it was 573. I went and wrote 573 emails by hand. Like I had a template, but I modified it. I went and researched the company and, oh, these guys do like mining. Okay, well, I see you guys have done this new mining product. Can I help it with AI? Like I went and did that for like 570 companies. It took like 3 months. It was ridiculous. It was like such a bad use of time. Like when I look back at it, I'm like, I could have done that in a week if I'd optimized it properly. And
And you landed one client.
And I landed one client.
Brilliant though.
I had a couple of meetings from it. A couple of people told me to go fuck myself, politely.
Yes.
But then I got a meeting from it. First product for them went really well. Then like a continuous client-based, like monthly project, monthly.
Yeah, I think
what's the word?
Retainer.
Retainer with them.
Yeah, I think the really great thing about that relationship. And sorry, I'm stealing your thunder a little bit here, but you're still in business with them today.
Yeah.
Which speaks volumes about the work that you've done for them.
Yeah, we have a great working relationship. Like, it's almost to the point now where like I would like to work on other things, and I almost have the money and the capital to work on other things. But I'm still going to carry on working for them because they've taken such good care of me. I feel like I'm doing a good job for them. Must be if they're still keeping me around.
Of course.
So yeah. But yeah, it was those cold emails took a long time to write and a long time to get right. And I did a second batch of emails where I sent out 1,000 with a more automated process and got no meetings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not a cold email expert by any stretch of the imagination. And there's a lot of technical things to get right, like what are the quality of your leads? Like, did you actually send them from an email inbox, or did they just get like marked as spam because the email inbox was too new? Like, did you warm it up properly?
Yeah.
So there's lots of things like that, and that's also why like now I'm trying to film more content in that, because it's also really powerful and it's a different distribution platform compared to sending out cold emails. But it's all about the brand awareness, as we were talking earlier. Making LinkedIn videos, making slide decks, doing presentations, going to like in-person events and that. It all eventually adds up to, hey, that's Mitch from Velociraptor and Josh from Opti. Like, you develop that reputation. And to answer your question about what were like some of the tough parts of like starting up Velociraptor, it's also just being alone. We always quote Alex and Mosey to each other, and like it's the lonely chapter. But like it really is. Like it's been great to work with you now on some of the other products that we're building together. But like especially when you're starting a company by yourself and no one else really sees the vision. Like, you can sit on Twitter all day and see people 5 years younger than you achieving 10x the outcomes, and it's like, why can't that be me? Like I'm doing my best all day to work on the company and do the marketing and code the software and reach out to people and give updates and fix bugs and do taxes. Fuck, we've got so many tax things to work on.
Yeah.
And it's like tough to do it all by yourself. So I think like the biggest thing is actually just motivation and just not giving up. There's been lots of times last year where I was like, well, maybe I should just go get a job. Look at all these great opportunities. But then like actually going back to why you started it in the first place, and just like, no, there's so much to be gained here if you just focus and carry on working on what you want, on what you truly do want to work on. That's been a big one.
Yeah, and I think that resonates with so many founders
Yeah.
across the world. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. Do you have any crazy stories from your journey in the last year? Crazy client stories, something insane from your trip to America? Funny, can be a funny story as well, something cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much about a client or a client story, but there were tons of times when I was in SF and staying with a bunch of other founders where someone would have a tweet go semi-viral. One of my tweets went viral. I went to a hackathon at GitHub and I just took a video of their Git repository dashboard that they have at the entryway, which shows all the GitHub commits coming in, and it got like 1.5 million views on Twitter. I had like 200 followers on Twitter at the time. It was ridiculous. And it just went like viral, and all my friends were doing stuff around the house as well, like to help it go more viral. But anyway, we had a couple of viral moments, which I think just also speaks to when you're like a startup founder, like when a good opportunity comes your way, you got to take advantage of it. But like my one friend, he posted a video of his drone flying around, and it got like 100,000 views in an hour. We were like, okay, it's going to be doing 1 million by tomorrow. How can we take advantage of that? And then everyone in the house like pitched in together to like help him make a website, get Stripe up and running, pitch an offer and that. And then he made like $10,000 of sales in the next couple of days for his drone product. It's droneforge.com. How's it, Chester? But yeah, I mean, that's a cool story of like the kind of things that do happen when you're starting a company. And I've got examples like to a lesser extent of, inside my own company, like, oh, YouTube video is doing really well. Okay, drop everything, make a LinkedIn post, make another video, make a post.
Ride the wave.
Ride the wave as much as possible. Like, virality is such a fickle thing, but when it does happen, I mean, you can make money out of it. And, it's obviously much better to work on consistent marketing and consistent things, but there's definitely ways you can take virality to the next level. Like, I'm currently working on no, Sandy, you're busy talking here. I'm currently working on as long as you're happy.
You're going to lie exactly how she was lying. Oh, that's interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm currently working on a slideshow about why Jurassic Park is such a good and safe idea.
Yes.
I'm gonna
to see this.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it and post it and it's gonna be great because I really do believe in it, and it's good marketing for Velociraptor.
Yeah, that's very cool. I wanted to ask you that. So for me, like, I've never had anything be remotely viral or experience the energy of something going viral. And I think when you're alone and something goes viral, obviously you're excited, but I can only imagine a house of, 12 guys?
Yeah. Well, 1 girl, 11 guys.
Okay, sorry. You got 1 girl and 11 guys. Could be a guy, who knows. And what was it like experiencing that virality with so many individuals? Don't lick your ass.
My answer to that question is like just super exciting, and like everyone in the house was super supportive. So we spent tons of time working on the websites for everyone's products together. Yeah. Everyone was like, "Come on, you can't go to bed. Like, don't just leave this. Like, you got to take advantage of this." So like really motivational and encouraging, and like
it's incredible.
Like the scene out of a movie. Like we all want to be Mark Zuckerberg in the social network, like coding up an app that goes super viral and. You suddenly go from obscurity to fame, and that virality is like a little moment of that, so it was powerful.
I think what's very cool is that you guys catalyzed the virality for productivity. So you weren't just all sitting there watching the views tick up.
Yeah.
You guys used that as motivation to really actually propel the business forward as a group, which is quite incredible.
Yeah, and I mean it's the whole point of marketing and that. You can use Twitter and LinkedIn and that for funsies to tell people about who you are, but it's ultimately in service of a goal, right? You're trying to promote your opinions or promote your products, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
Yeah, the SF was a great time for that and for learning things like that.
I think my next question is, you obviously are deeply entrenched within the AI space and considered an expert in the space, particularly on the deployment side of things.
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there's levels to it, right? You're not building LLMs from scratch. but you are an expert in deploying it and making sure that.
Prompt engineer.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think building the pipelines and deploying it into real world, real use applications.
Yeah, I got a lot of experience there, all the nitty-gritty of how do you actually make it work properly.
Yeah, which is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help you have these great AI softwares and know where to deploy them, or no one who knows how to deploy them within the existing ecosystems that there are.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point of my question is, with your knowledge and current understanding of the capabilities of AI, what do you think its impact on the world is going to be, and what possibilities is it going to unlock going forward?
It's a tough question to answer without sounding like a lunatic, to be honest. Because the optimistic scenario is like 5 years' time, we have like an explosion of super intelligence and machines that are smarter than us and like, Terminator levels of intelligence without the violence, hopefully.
Yes.
Like that is the ultimate bull case. Like the exponential curve of where like AI intelligence has been going is like, it ultimately leads to like systems and beings that are smarter than humans. I mean, GPT-4, like what you can ask ChatGPT to do in the speed it does it, is already smarter than like the average person. Like, like I don't know anything about rivers, for example, but ChatGPT can write you a poem, a discursive essay, a report, about rivers and that.
It'll tell you everything you could possibly want to know.
Yeah, and it's not just a search engine as well. It can like really understand. You can send it a picture of this river. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like going to outperform humans in all intelligent metrics. And so, the 10-20 year like bull case is that we have super intelligent machines that lead to like just an abundant increase in technology and food production and energy production and all the things that we consider important to our modern economy. Like all of that just gets 100x because all of a sudden you've got 1,000 Einsteins working in a fifth of the time on these hard problems. But to bring it down to a more like, how is it going to affect the average person in 5 years' time? I just think computers are going to get smarter and cheaper and more efficient to use. Jobs are going to change very quickly from, a lot of people are, I think, like, the term is like super gluers, or like they take data from here, they take spreadsheets from here, they extract the data, they glue it together with something else, there's your report. Or, here's some instructions, they follow a couple of procedures, there's your meal, outputted, in like a restaurant or kind of food production scenario. I just think it's going to go so much from humans doing all of the work to humans overseeing a lot of the work. Yeah. The same way an engineer these days doesn't perform all the calculations manually. He uses simulation software to predict when the beam is going to fail or when the water will pump through the plumbing system at a certain speed. Yeah,
and you can look at 100 iterations of that in a minute.
Yeah, I think it's just going to make, particular in careers and work-wise, humans are going to very quickly be elevated to like the overseers of like a vast swarm of intelligences, even if as simple as little LLMs plugged into sensors. I think it's just going to let people do so much more high-value work so much quicker. And there's people that say you're going to have billion-dollar companies run by one person. I think we will start to see companies and products that weren't possible 10 years ago be run by one or two people. I mean, what I can do with Cursor and like sitting in front of a computer screen for a couple of hours is way more than what a team of senior devs could do 10 years ago, just because we're layering on top of the technological stack. And even in industries as far removed as like teaching, I just think it's gonna, like, you're just gonna have access to more and more information and more opportunity as an individual. And I just think it's gonna be super empowering. Like the ultimate bull case for a child in 5 to 7 years who's like leaving high school is you can go do whatever you want. You can go control a swarm of like robots to do tasks for you. You can go and learn whatever you want and start simulating new biological features and new DNA strands, like all just like ridiculously. I sound like a lunatic when I talk about it, but I just think like it's going to unlock so much potential. And the small AI chatbots and like learning tools and SaaS products that we're building today is just the start of what's going to become like an increasingly automated and agentic kind of society and economy that's just going to allow humans to do so much more. The same way the internet and our cell phones now allow us to do what even the richest person in the world couldn't do 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just think that's going to get put on steroids, and it's just so exciting, and it's why if you're like you don't know what's happening with AI and that, I think you're going to be in for a rude awakening in a few years' time.
What do you think the societal impact will be of that? Are we going to move to a more socialistic type governance, or are we going to be on a capitalistic side? What's the feeling there? It's like you'll say you can do whatever you want, but are there still going to be varying pay scales for those depending on how they contribute?
Yeah. Look, I don't think we're going to end up in a socio-utopian society in like 5 years' time. It's like there's a lot of inertia and lead time. There will certainly be people on certain elements of society that get super rich and super capable while others are left behind in the dirt.
Yes.
I think we'll eventually all get to that utopian vision, the same way like almost everyone has access to some level of healthcare and electricity and that today, but obviously some people have a lot more than others.
What do you see it trending towards?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to end up in a socialist or communist society, because I just think those systems inherently rely on people's like inner values, and people are just inherently like nasty and greedy, and so that's why communism always fails. So I don't think we're going to end up in a socialist society. What I do think will end up happening, at least in the short term, is like an exaggeration of inequality and hyper-capitalist machinations. So like I do think the rich will get richer, and hopefully it will uplift all boats slowly. I mean, that's the kind of economic theory I subscribe to, is that like, the rich get richer, but also they create jobs for the poor, and like it lifts. When you and I start a company and employ people, we might make some money and sell the products and services for a good margin, but we also employ 10 people and give them, a paycheck every month that they might not have otherwise had, and that's the whole economic theory of like business and job creation, is that lifts everyone up.
Do you think you struck a very interesting point there on?
I think it's going to be messy. I think it will. I don't think it's going to be a clean transition.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But the question I was going to ask is, do you think that non-founders value the salary received from an employer as they should? Do you think they understand the value of what they're receiving and how difficult it is to generate a business?
That's a fantastic question.
That can actually pay a salary?
That's a fantastic question, because I have experienced that realization myself in the last 12 months. I had a job, whatever, decent corporate salary. I was happy with the pay, wasn't happy with the job, left to pursue my own founder interests in that, started the company. Holy shit, I can't afford to pay someone like my old salary. I can't even afford to pay myself that salary. I've lived off of less than a quarter of what my old corporate salary was for like a year and a half now.
Yeah.
If I was making what I was making from my corporate job every month a year ago, I would have been like, this is incredible. Just go to the beach all day and chill. So I think you've struck an incredibly important chord there. It's that most people don't understand how hard it is to generate a business that can generate revenue. And some of my more liberal friends might not like me for a statement like this, but the company doesn't owe you anything. Like, I don't think I could live in Europe anymore because of the, not that like I don't want to abuse my workers and sort of thing, but like the ultimate aim of a company is to provide goods and services to clients or to customers. The aim of a company is not to employ people. That's like a helpful side effect.
Yes.
And we obviously should treat people with respect and dignity and allow them to earn a living wage and not exploit people. But at the end of the day, the point of a company is to provide goods and services. It's not to give you leave and to make sure that you're super fulfilled in your job. I mean, if you can do both of those, it's great. That's why there's only a couple of really successful companies in the world. But I think people forget that when they're looking from the I need a job and I need to put food on the table this month kind of perspective, is that's not the company's aim. Company's aim is to make money and to achieve its goal. And now as a founder, I can really appreciate how hard it is to start a company, and damn, employing people is expensive and it's really risky actually compared to letting an AI or a software project do some of that work. And I think people need to also look at it from that perspective. I think it's helpful to look at it from that perspective, because then you say, oh, okay, this company doesn't really want to employ me, but if I can increase their revenue or increase efficiency, or I'm like such an asset to the team, or I bring all these things to the company, that's how you get hired and you get promoted in that, because then your goals and your vision is aligned with the company's vision.
Yeah, it's desirable.
Yeah, and that's how high performers get promoted at companies, and how there are lots of people that are very successful in corporate companies because they understand that alignment, and their alignment is aligned. Their working process and vision is aligned with that of the companies. And mine definitely wasn't in my first job. I didn't provide much value.
Yeah, and I think for me it was a big realization as a founder as well. Is you were talking about how all boats lift on a rising tide.
Yeah.
And how when someone does get rich, all the people that they employ get inherently wealthier than what they would have been had that person not started that business.
Yeah, I subscribe to that.
I was just wanting to touch on, that effect, I believe, is so much more than what we give it value to, having been a founder.
Yeah.
And the employment of people is a huge achievement as any business or startup.
If you can employ 3 people, that's incredible.
Yeah, so your contribution to society through employment is massive.
Yeah, and that's why South Africa is always going on. South African politicians are always going on about trying to promote job growth and trying to promote economic empowerment, because the government doesn't help its citizens by just giving out money. They try to do that, and it doesn't really work. The way a real economy and a real country is uplifted is by just creating the business. Government creates the environment for businesses to succeed and employ people and give people money where they can buy goods and services and education and lift themselves out of poverty. You don't lift people out of poverty and lift them into a successful, meaningful life by just giving them money. It's the old adage about giving a man a fish for a day versus teaching him to fish. You got to teach people how to fish.